Today on Video Mojo, we're going to talk about a dimension of social media and marketing on social media that rarely gets the exposure I think it deserves. I'm going to be talking to Kevon Cheung about building in public, transparency, and community. He's built his own community in a patient, value driven way. Value comes before the hype and thinking about making money. He's really demonstrated a remarkable patience at the same time that he's working the social media relationships and building authentic community. I think this is hugely valuable and a key value. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Well, welcome, Kevon Cheng, to Video Mojo. It's great to have you here.
Hey, John, thank you so much for having me here. Let's talk about things.
Yeah, we're going to talk about transparency. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about building in public. But I would be remiss not to mention the fact that you're in Hong Kong at 10 p.m. in the evening, and I'm in Northern California at 7 a.m. in the morning. And somehow we still get to talk to each other. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the one slot that works.
You have time wise, but I'm
Yeah.
just, even though it's nothing new, I'm still in awe of this technology. And you and I met on Twitter going back several years. I don't even know exactly. And you're a big advocate of building in public and this whole idea of community and transparency. And you've turned that into a real success story. So those are great words and great concepts. But as a way of context, tell the audience, please, kind of like where you started as a creator and being on your own and what's happened over, what is it, 3 years that you've been doing this?
About 2.5. So let's go back 2.5 years ago. Long story short, I was running a SaaS company before that, and it was a funded company with angel investors. But, it didn't get the growth that we wanted. So at the end of 2020, that was when I kind of walked away from that. But the turning point to get me into this new direction is that I just kind of think about my life. My daughter, my first daughter, was about to arrive to the world. And I was thinking, oh man, I'm a new dad now. I need to start doing something that can compound, my reputation, because I was working really hard in my career, but nothing really stick to my name. Everything is about the founder or the leaders or the company. I didn't really build my personal voice or brand. So that was what I was thinking at that moment. And, I thought I would take a break to welcome my baby daughter and to spend some time with my wife. So, but I never really take a break, right? I always just start doing something. So I started just writing online, and my writing style is pretty open. I love to share my failures and my lesson learned in the past entrepreneurial experience. So I had nowhere to share that. So I went on this website called indiehackers.com, throw it up there. And each time, like maybe 20, 30 people would read it. And I thought, okay, that's a great start. But over time, I got on Twitter and I started to basically just talk about what I was working on. And that brought me to where I am today. So the whole story started because I felt like I was a nobody and I wanted to turn into somebody.
And we met very near the beginning of your journey, and I have to say that I was attracted by the authenticity, by the fact that you were building in public and being transparent. So, bottom line, what happened in that 2.5 years? Because I know that you're not a quote nobody anymore. You've got actually a real business, right, as a creator, which is no small accomplishment.
I guess a lot of people would first look at how many followers you have, how big your email list is, how much revenue you're making. I feel like in a way, yes, that kind of tells a bit of the story, but like the social media numbers are not the full picture, right? Revenue, maybe. So I guess in the last 2.5 years, well, you have to know that I had no topic when I started. I had no followers. I've never played this game before, and I had no friends in the space. I was just this guy from Hong Kong trying to blend into the community. So a big part of it was just learning the ropes, finding out what is needed to build this kind of online business or kind of thought leadership in this space. And I am someone who really take it slow. Like a lot of people would really want to crave a big, launch moment and then make six figure in a course. I was pretty clear that I just want to make like $50 or not even $50 for the first course, because I want to optimize for, credibility. I want to first build credibility so people trust me, and I want to optimize for feedback. I love feedback because I feel like feedback can shape my product to be better. So yeah, the last 2.5 years is basically me fine tuning what I'm actually doing to serve the community. And yeah, until today, I'm still fine tuning my framework and my biggest product, my course.
So, but I'm looking at your Twitter page. I think it's 20,000 followers now on Twitter, and you're earning a living as a creator now after 2.5 years. Are you happy with those bottom line results? You're able to support your family and so forth? Because I know how important that is to you. You say it publicly.
The truth is, not able to support the family yet, but I'm pretty open about the numbers. So I share all the month-to-month revenue, costs, and profit margins, and I see an uptrend. So things are going well. I'm able to figure out how to grow the business, but it's not at a point where it can pay off all my personal expenses because I live in Hong Kong. And if you have no idea what Hong Kong is like, just kind of think of it as like New York. It's super expensive. But anyway, I was running startups before, so that was how I kind of saved up as a safety net. So the way I would keep going is that if my burn rate drops over time, that's good for me. Like, I don't need to make a profit right now.
So, and the monthly revenue is at what level, just so that people can have an idea?
Um, yeah, I was talking about it on a different place. Basically, in April this year, 2023, I reached my first 12,000 month. So because I was doing a cohort at that point, but of course it fluctuates a lot because my biggest product is a live cohort. So other months I can be doing like 3,000, 4,000. So
Okay.
but I don't really care about the monthly numbers. I care about the annual numbers. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I really think it's worth underscoring your patience and your value of going slow and building it over time and being okay that you don't have a smash home run success. I mean, I think I'm pretty clear that we share a value that there's way too much of the huckster, I can help you earn $300,000 in 30 days or whatever the crazy numbers are. And they make it all about the money. And you're not like that. I was attracted from the beginning about that. And so say a little bit more about that quality, because I think it's something that's often missing. And also you'll help me because even though I mean, I'm supported because I have a services business. I have a small social media agency and I create content for other people. Uh, but I wish my creator business made more money. So I'm needing to exercise patience myself. So where do you find that patience and where did that value come from?
It's funny because I was having lunch with my daughter, 2.5 years old, today in the office. And we were watching some cartoons. And I think we watched a few different ones, but that one was about the tortoise versus the rabbit, the race. So, all these like cartoons, now I realize they are actually teaching us like really important life lessons. I guess where the patience come from, I think number one, I am never a very competitive person. So I don't come into this game because I want to win the game. That's not me. Like in my whole life, I don't need to win. I just want to be a player. Second of all, I heard about a metaphor like, would you want to build Amazon, which takes years and years to get to profitability, but nowadays like you can hardly destroy this company? Or do you want to build like one of those like startup that, I don't know, like Threads? Well, Threads will never go away because it's backed by such a big company, but like a mini startup that comes up and then disappear in a year. I want to build Amazon. So I want to build a legacy. So all this coming together makes me realize that slow is good. Yeah.
Yeah, although there's a difference between Amazon and a legacy because you don't have to be a multi-billion-dollar company to create a legacy. So I want to talk to you about Twitter because it's sort of like the elephant in the room, if you will, these days, and Threads. And I'll full disclosure, I want to say I'm not going to Threads. I don't think that Facebook Meta needs another network. They're already kind of a monopoly, and what's made it grow so fast in these initial days is the fact that they're leveraging Instagram, which they own. So you're on Twitter. Are you on Twitter to stay? And why are you so focused on Twitter?
Um, I think for one is when I was trying to build my voice, of course, I choose a platform to start with. And I'm a very focused kind of person. Like from day one, I know that I need to just do one platform, not like many people creating like 4 different profiles and just have the profile. That doesn't work. Twitter is interesting to me because it's knowledge based. I can feel myself talking, but I'm not super comfortable doing that. Now I'm speaking to you and I'm using this like professional gear because of 2.5 years of practice and actually before then. But I'm most comfortable just writing texts and I can schedule them so that I can free myself up for other deep work. But a lot of people are quite turned off when I say schedule. They think, wow, this guy is not very authentic if he schedule his tweets. I don't believe so. I think it actually helps me write better and deliver better value to people and actually free myself up so that when I have this time, I'm actually replying to John, replying to Jennifer, replying to Allison, and have that conversations. It actually makes me a better Twitter user. So I think I started using Twitter because of these reasons. I'm here to stay because the platform is a platform. Like I went to school in Boston, right? I don't want to go back to Boston because it's meaningless without the same people I have in college. It's just a town. So Twitter or Threads is just kind of like a shell. It's a space. What matters is who you have around you there. So to be honest, I'm trying out Threads. I'm just like messing around. I'm not really putting too much thought into it because I want to see firsthand what kind of people are on Threads. And so far, I'm quite conflicted because I see the Twitter people there, which are very knowledge based, at least from my community, right? But I also see the Instagram people there, which is just posting pictures and like having a laugh or something. And I don't like that. So yeah, if Thread has a community that is driven by knowledge and sharing and learning, I think I will also do that. But for now, I don't know. Let's see how it goes.
Clear. Say more about the value that you can offer by, because I mean, I think it's all about offering value and making a difference, being of service. And you said that scheduling your tweets helps you deliver more value. How does that work?
Let's think about you do social media work for clients and yourself, right, John? Have you ever get into a situation where you're writing a tweet and you want to click tweet? You're doing it real time basically. And then you're like, oh, should I click it? Is it good enough? And then once you click it, you're like, oh my God, let me delete it and rewrite that word. Did that happen to you?
No, because for my clients, we do schedule. Because
Okay.
I'm collaborating with usually one other member of my team, and so I make sure that it's right before it gets scheduled, so that it works that way.
Yeah.
Personally, I tend to shoot from the hip, and you're helping me. I probably should be a little more thoughtful and spread them out consciously.
Yeah. So when you're doing it real time, you cannot really think about many different angles. Like you're thinking about the grammar, you're thinking if people would come in and have a war with you, you're thinking a lot. But when you schedule, I feel like you're carefully thinking about what value that tweet provides, and then you don't have that anxiety. Is it good enough? Is it not good enough? You forget about it. But when the notification comes, then you're like, okay, let me reply to people. So I actually teach this to my student. you should schedule. Don't listen to those people who are like scheduling is not authentic. I think they misunderstand that the behavior, the interaction is actually where the authenticity is, not in the function of how you tweet.
Hmm. Being willing to talk to people and have your DMs open so that and then you can respond and have conversations. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really good point. So one of the reasons that I was attracted to you, and I don't know, I want to kind of like see what I can get from you. Also, it's a good insight that you just provided, is around this idea of community building. So I have a following, a small following, and I love that there are people who have followed me over years, really. And it's small, and I can't say that I'm exploding. I have, like you said, played around with different focuses. What's my clear area where I can offer the most value that will be appreciated, that will people want? So that's part of the thing. But, you know, you've been so successful at really going deep into community. What do you think is the difference there, how that has led to this slow, steady progress that you've been able to create?
That's a really good question. I think the first thing you need to have is don't think about selling. I think just too many people they get on social media and they are thinking about, okay, this is my top funnel. Let me attract some leads and then bring them into like an email place and then try to pitch them. Once you have that thought coming first, you basically lose the community game because people can sense it. Like people can just figure out very easily who is here to sell, who is here to just, be around. So that's number one. Number two is you got to have some fun. Um, you cannot just portrait yourself as like, oh, you're the expert in this field and show up every day like you're standing on stage. People hate that kind of people. We just love to hang out with fun people. So other than sharing the good stuff, like the values, the educational content, it's so important to just hang out with people. Like today, I found that my wife got my second daughter a new toy, and it reminds me of a Twitter friend. So I actually took a photo and sent it to her on Twitter. And then we are like having fun. No one really knows because I'm tweeting directly to her. But that's the kind of relationship you want to have with the community. And the last thing is, I wrote an article about this because I find this fascinating. When you have a community, you think that your customer comes from the community, right? Usually, like, that's yes. But I was reading my customer data. No, they're not from my community. The people who are actively engaging with me, they don't buy from me. Not all of them. But then these people who are buying from me, I don't know who they are. And some of them, I never talk to them. So that tells me something. Like you're hanging out with your community, and maybe 30% from your community will buy something from you. Well, that's okay. But because you're hanging out and having fun with this community, people from the outside will see the message and buy from you. I think this is really hard to understand if you don't personally just experience and analyze data like that. But this is my finding.
Yeah, I mean, it underscores something that I've talked about on this podcast before, which is marketing where you open the door and they come in through the window. So I think being out there is opening the door, and then people show up not in a linear, like I'm designing a funnel and step by step ever moving through the funnel, which is, I like what you're saying there. The other thing that I think, Kevon, that would be great for you to illuminate is this dimension of social media where you are, connecting to people. I love that. And it's part of what I do also love about Twitter is that I feel like I get to have conversations with people and connect with people that I wouldn't otherwise connect with. And there's still so many people that think social media is just a bunch of hucksters, that there is not any real meaningful conversations or connections happening. And you and I are evidence of the fact that people can meet and actually have meaningful conversations, and you and I don't have an agenda, and I'm not an affiliate of selling your programs, or we're just like, we like each other, or I like you and I like what you're doing, and I think there's something valuable to be shared there, so I wanted to have you on and do that. But how do you view, you've written books about building community on Twitter, and so you see this dimension that a lot of people, I think, don't see.
How do I see this?
Yeah, I mean, because you've really engaged with it. It's a rich, fertile ground for you.
I think another perspective I can talk about is I see people as my partners, not my customers. Because maybe I came from the software SaaS background. I started many things before, right? Most of them didn't work out. And in the past, I had to go on LinkedIn and I had to knock on people's door through private message and be like, I have this thing that I'm figuring out. Do you have like 45 minutes to talk to me? And a lot of people actually would say yes. You think LinkedIn is very professional, but people are super nice. So I got a lot of yes. So I always have this like user research kind of mindset because I know I don't know how to build a product. I need them to tell me what they need, and then I can try to come up with something that serves them, right? I cannot ask them what they want. So I think when I approach Twitter, when I approach community building, I was trying to use the same mindset, but in a different way. I like to tell people that in the past, I spent so much time one-on-one trying to do this kind of like questionnaire, right? Trying to get into their mind. I don't want to do that anymore because it's so slow. You have to schedule, you have to have a meeting, and then you have to take notes. Right now, I basically have something in mind. I'm like, why are people so into their follower count? I don't know because I'm not them. And I would just like, let me ask them. I would tweet about it and 30 people would rush in and give me their insights in their head. And I'm like, that's really interesting. Like with this, I can build really, really good products because I can read into people's mind. So I think that is why I look at community as a very collaborative thing because I actually need them to build products for them. So maybe this is why.
It's definitely a different dimension of Twitter, and you're doing it in a very intelligent way. I really appreciate that. I want to. One other thing that I want to touch on is email courses. I think that's what you have a course about email courses, and so I have an email list, and it's been pretty steady. Like I said, there's people on there that I know have been following me for quite a number of years, but it doesn't really grow. And you recommend email courses as a way to grow the list. How does that work? And can you give me kind of like the top level of what you offer there and what you recommend?
Sure. I think so. I was new to this like online space, right? And I spent the first 6 months making $0. That was intentional. But in that 6 months, I built 2 free products. The first one is my building public guide. I spent 2 months writing 10,000 words, like super slow, but because I was working with the community. So that's why I think it gave me that initial traction. But the second product was making Twitter friends, the email course. And my whole intention was the first project, I put it up on my website. So I have no idea who is in here. I know the numbers, I know the traffic, but there's no email. So the second project was intentionally to capture emails so that I can build relationships with them. And I just realized the difference between my newsletter sign up and the free email course sign up is so different. Like my newsletter is super slow and the course is like bam, bam, bam. When someone talk about it, I get 400 students in one day. And I was thinking, why is that the case? So here's my kind of philosophy. I think newsletter is unclear value. When you say subscribe to my newsletter, you're saying, give me your inbox space. You don't know what you'll hear from me, but trust me, just give me your email address. That's what you're saying. And it's a little scary to most people. But the free email course is very direct. Like, I'm here to teach you something, and I say this is just 5 to 7 days. So it's pretty lightweight. And basically, give me your email so that I can teach you. So that's the difference. So for the email course, it's so easy for people to say yes. But I think that's just part one. I think part two is free email course has a bad reputation. The bad reputation is that like everyone, not everyone, 95% of the people on the internet are making free email course so that they lead you to day 7 and then they sell you something. To me, that's like, yeah, I understand how it works. It probably works, right? You can make some money off that. But to me, since my intention was community building, I didn't pitch anything. The end of the course is the end of the course, and now we're friends. So I think that lasted for at least a year and a half before now I put my book at the end to pitch it. But for the first year and a half, there were like 2,000 students, and there was no pitching. So I think that's how I was able to develop a lot of deep relationship with people as well, because they know I'm just different from other people.
I love these values. So my last question is there a question that I should have asked you that I haven't asked?
I guess
Something.
why tap into email course when I'm talking about building in public? I actually struggle. Like this product, teaching people how to build email course feels like a distraction from my core value. But then I think about, hey, this is actually a way to automate community building by bringing your raving fans in and having that course do all the work for you. Of course, you need to like show up and reply to people, but it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So I guess, yeah, that's why I'm doing the course, because it's actually fit into community building in a different way.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity to contribute value, to offer something that you have to teach. And it's a perfectly reasonable delivery mechanism too. And and the other thing that appeals to me is I think I could create an email course pretty quickly, right? It's not like not like writing a book, for example.
Yeah.
My son just took a couple of years to write a book, which is phenomenal, but it's obviously a lot of deep work involved. Awesome. Well, you are so thoughtful, and I really appreciate the values that we're talking about, because I just think we need more of that. It's what makes, I don't care whether you're talking about Twitter, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. It's the quality of the connections, and people do know where people are coming from. And I've seen in you from the beginning, and it's borne out over time, and you've just illuminated it further, that you're in it for the long haul for really good reasons. So thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for the inspiration of that. And your coordinates, I know it's publiclab.co is your main website. Other coordinates or things that you want, is it Meet Kevon on Twitter? Is that right?
Yeah. So on Twitter, it's Meet Kevon, and then publiclab.co. That's right. Everything is there. You can start discovery right there.
So great. Well, thank you again for making the time and for staying up late and being part of Video Mojo. It's great to get to meet you in person.
Yeah, nice to be a Mojo. Thank you, John, for the opportunity. Yeah, enjoy the chat very much.
If you like this episode, before you go, there are 2 episodes of Video Mojo that I want to recommend. Tommy Mallon, who runs the programs for Ali Abdaal, one of the most successful YouTubers, and somebody who I respect and admire as building with authenticity, gave an amazing interview about behind the scenes and how Ali Abdaal's business works. And also my interview with George Kao, who is an authentic business coach, really also reflects the kind of values that I think are crucial for meaningful social media marketing. Thanks again for your kind attention, and we'll see you next time.